Welcome to Meeple, uniting players around the world. A 30-minute exploration of PJ and Gareth's board game experiences from across both sides of the Atlantic. Each episode, they share their thoughts and opinions on the world of board games, including their favourite themes, games, hot topics, and much, much more.
Hey, welcome to episode 29. I'm PJ.
And I'm Gareth.
And today, Board Games in Focus. Let the good times roll. Everyone, today it is Tuesday. It is Fat Tuesday. In France, it is Mardi Gras. In Louisiana, it is Mardi Gras, which is marking the end of Carnival season. Carnival in Venice, Italy. Our friends in Rio de Janeiro, and they're also celebrating Carnival. But in New Orleans, at the end, the theme of Mardi Gras, not the theme, but the motto is Laissez les bon temps rouler in French, and that's let the good times roll. So today's focus is going to be, Gareth?
Dice games.
Yes. So we're both going to try.
Covered, have we?
We have not, and we're going to try to let the good times roll, or the board games roll, or the dice roll. Yeah.
There's a lot of dice games out there, because dice games cover... You know, I thought about bringing Monopoly to the party, but I thought maybe our listeners wouldn't appreciate such a simple game. So I have chosen 3 dice games that are hitting my table, or I just love to play.
All of these hit my table like yesterday and today, to be fair. Like in preparation, Katie and I just played them all.
You do a lot of homework. I don't do enough homework. I bring the rule books to the table when I'm sitting here talking to you. Which, if you hear ruffling of papers, then that is me reading rulebooks.
That's great.
That's what I do.
I tried, although I know that at least one of the games that you're going to talk about fits this mold. But I tried to avoid roll and write games for this episode.
I could have bought a load of roll and writes because of dice games.
We could have. I mean, we could have done that. I think.
Interesting. I think I only wrote down 2. I only wrote down 2 of my list when I was thinking about them. Most of my games were worker dice placement, that kind of thing.
Yep. Yeah, dice placement or dice workers, things of that nature. Yeah, something that really features, or dice drafting. I have a couple dice drafting games. So yeah. Well, why don't you take us away and tell me how first. The dice? Yeah, tell me how the dice roll.
So the 3 games I have selected is Rolling Realms, so that is a roll and write, Space Base, and Dice Hospital. And I'm only going to talk about the core game. So I'm going to start with Rolling Realms. So it's a Jamie Stegmaier game. It is based on, the original game was based on the Stonemaier publications, of which there's it's basically 11 cards in the box. Each card represents one of the Stonemaier games. So everything from Viticulture to Euphoria, Scythe is covered between 2 castles, Wingspan, Charterstone, Tapestry. What I love about this game is that every card or every game has been distilled into one single card, picking up the elements in a fantastic way that I just go, ooh, it's so like the game, but so nothing like the game, that Jamie's managed to basically pull out the essence of each of the board games into one of the cards. So there's 11 in the box since its release, which was designed through the pandemic. There's been 9 promo cards, and this is where Jamie has done other games. So we have Architects of Whist Kingdom, example, Feast for Odin, Arc Nova recently, Terra Mystica, Smitten, Honey Buzz, and Rolling Realms. So its own Rolling Realms card within Rolling Realms. Yes. Each game is made up of 9 rounds, 3 rounds, 3 cards, 3 cards, 3 cards. 3 rounds of covering 9 cards, should I say?
Right.
And you then roll a dice 9 times, and you basically write the 2 numbers down onto one of the 2 different cards. I'm not going to cover the rules in too much detail, but we love it. It's those games that particularly if you know the cards, we teach really easily to new gamers. So we start with some easy ones, and then we just dial it up. So we played this last Wednesday, our midweek gaming session, to a couple of new gamers, and they picked it up really well. It's very portable. I've got mine down into one of those photo boxes, so we can take it anywhere with us. So 2 of those, and they're dry wipe cards, so they basically will last forever, as with dry wipe pens. And if you're after a roll and write, a game to have the good times with, then I always recommend Rolling Realms. And I'm sure Jamie has no doubt many more foil packs that will be purchased to add to the collection. Certainly is a nice little game that can keep growing. Do you own Rolling Realms?
I do. I played it with you and your family.
You did, didn't we? Played it.
Yeah, two years ago.
That
almost
might have been
2
the
years
first
ago.
time I think we met face to face.
Yep,
on an Instagram call.
And I think that's the beauty of this game, right? Jamie, like you said, he developed it over the pandemic during lockdown to play with his friends remotely, and they said you need to publish it, and he did. And
he did. I think you can still pick up the print and play version.
Oh yeah,
if you want to try it out.
Yep.
But it's not a crazy expensive game. I'd say the replayability is huge as well. So that's my first game off my list. What have you got to cover, and what's going to be your first one?
So I've got 3 games as well. I'm going to talk about Sagrada. I'm going to talk about Role Player, and I'm going to go back a ways to Tabula.
Never heard of it. Sounds awesome.
I'm going to tell you all about it later. But first, I'm going to start with Sagrada. Came out in 2017 by Adrian Adamskiw and Daryl Andrews, published by Floodgate Games. This game is great. It's dice drafting. I mean, this is incredible. So you are fashioning a panel of a stained glass window from the Sagrada La Familia in Barcelona, and you're doing it with colored translucent dice.
Beautiful.
So you take the number of players +2, I believe +2. Yeah. And that many dice, and you roll them. And the colors matter because you've got like this grid that you can put your dice in. You slide a card under there, so there's a lot of replayability. The colors matter, but you can't have the same colors orthogonally adjacent.
Yeah.
The number of pips showing matter. Sometimes they matter. And you can't have like 2 next to a 2 orthogonally. So you can't put them side by side. So you've got to be very cautious when you're doing that. There are 3 public projects that help you in case you don't have the color dice or the number that you need for your little panel. So there is a little bit of a set collection because you are trying to collect sets of colors of dice and numbers, as it were. You also have a private objective when you're playing, so you're trying to do that. So you're trying to match whatever the project says on your panel, and you've got a private objective, so you're trying to do that. Mm-hmm. And you've got public objectives, which are giving you more points. We've played this countless times. Katie and I play it a lot at 2-player. It's good. Do. It's a solid 2-player. It's better with more, I feel like. Because you increase the number of dice that come out. It gets more, there's more options. But yeah, that's Sagrada.
Because with you've got your stained glass windows, they change as well, don't they? So not only your actual layout's different.
Yes.
So you're all collecting different numbers or different configurations of dice.
Yep, absolutely.
It's a lovely game. When we play 2-player, I think we end up removing half the dice, which is not a rule in the book, but it just makes it tighter in terms of choice.
I definitely agree with that because we had just played this morning in prep for the episode, and I was like, we take out half the dice, right? And no, the rules say you put them all in.
Yeah, I know.
There's a lot of dice, and it's like I think Katie at one point she needed a green die, and I think 2 green dice came out the entire game.
Yeah,
so Got to watch out for that. But that is Sagrada by Floodgate Games. Pick it up at a store near you.
Fantastic. And it's another game that through lockdown that a few people played on Instagram on lives, and people joined in. So again, it's a game that could be played remotely with each other, because you could just share the dice pool. Everyone just takes the dice as long as they got a copy of the game.
Yep, that's a key.
Good choice.
So.
Okay, number 2 for me is Space Base. I love this game. Now, it's a very simple game. It's chucking dice, activating dice, a bit like Machi Koro. If you know what Machi Koro is, you played that, which I'm not. We had that game, not a massive fan of. This has got very similar mechanics, but deeper. So you got a player board where you have a set of ships numbered 1 to 12, and on those ships are various things like gathering money, gathering victory points, or improving the amount of wealth that you can generate every round. So you roll 2 dice. You can either add the dice together or use them separately, allocate the dice to those ships, and take the benefits. And then as you upgrade those ships with new ships, which you purchase through saving money, you tuck the existing card upside, reverse it, and tuck it in face up, but downwards, if that makes sense. And on that has another power, which you activate on everybody else's turn. So on your turn, you're activating the main card. On everybody else's turn, when they're rolling a dice, you activate the cards that you've previously upgraded. So you're always doing something. Downtime isn't too bad. This game now, I think with expansions, plays to 6, maybe 7. I've only played it with 4 to 5. It plays reasonably fast. First to 40, there's loads of cards to upgrade. Lots of different combos where you can trigger the card next to the card you're playing. And there's been, I think, 2 box expansions, which are kind of not legacy. They're story-driven. So there's like, let's say 8 modules in a box. You play through all 8 stories. It unlocks more and more. And then you put the whole thing into the game. Or you can just pour the whole lot in straight away. So we always play with at least the first version of the game. That's sort of the base game and the expansion, because it adds some really nice little mini dice to the game. And we're just playing through the second box at the moment. But it's really light-hearted, not too complicated. You can teach it really quickly. Lots of in-jokes and Easter eggs with the different ships, if you can try and think back to which realm or galaxy they came from. So that is Space. Highly recommend it as a simple dice rolling, resource gathering game. And super fun to play.
That sounds awesome. I still have not had a chance to experience that game, and it looks good. And I've heard so many good things.
It looks great. It's not, it's nothing shattering in terms of mechanics, but just I find it incredibly satisfying, because you're trying to build like this engine up by chucking the dice. Obviously, you got the bell curve of dice distribution. You're trying to get the best possible opportunity to combo out the back of what you roll. Or what everybody else rolls, because you always got a chance to gain resources on everybody else's go. So anyway, that's number 2 from me. What's your number 2?
Number 2 is Role Player.
Role Player.
Yeah. So this is 2016. Keith Mateka. This is a dice rolling, drafting, and set collection game. But I think what I really enjoy about this so much is it's a game about creating a character that one could possibly play in a D&D game.
Yeah.
Or
I
any.
love that. Yeah.
Right? So it's like there's no story. There's no paraphernalia. There's no extra. It's just you're rolling 3 dice or however many dice based on the number of players. You put each die on an initiative card, draw that initiative, and then you go to the market and you draw a skill, a trait, an armor, or an item, a weapon of some sort. And you're basically creating your character. And I know that they've expanded, right? There's like role player adventures or something where you role play the character that you built. So this is another game that we played this morning. And I created a dark elf enchanter who was lawful good, was a guardian whose backstory was that they were emotionally damaged. And like that's all there, and then you get points because you roll the dice, and then you put them just like in D&D. You've got your stats, right? Wisdom, intelligence, charisma, constitution, and you put the cards in there, and you have a target number that you want those stats to be through the dice that you're putting in place, and then you're getting gold to purchase new items. It's just a really cool, very simple concept, and
well, I love the way they've
seen it. I haven't seen it done anywhere else, right? It's just
no,
great.
I mean, easily you're making a game out of character creation. Job done, and you got the alignment piece. You're trying to get the dice in the right place for the alignment, gather the right items, and then I think there's a couple of expansions that adds a few bits to it. I've never played them.
We have monsters and minions.
Yeah.
So what's really interesting is for those of you who've played tabletop role-playing games in the past, one of the things that troubles me about the D&D world is the beginning. You're all in a bar and you've never met each other, or you're in a tavern and there's this guy who just walks up to you with a quest. Well, why do I care? Why, by role player, so you go through all this dice rolling and drafting, you're collecting your sets, you're creating your character, you got your backstory and everything, like my Dark Elf Enchanter. But if you add monsters and minions, it's like another market of cards.
Right.
Where we, the players, as we're creating our characters, woven into our backstory, is we are facing off against this monster, and we reveal things about it in stages, right? That gives us bonuses. So I can access knowledge before you, which will make it easier for me to defeat the monster at the end of the game. So presumably, when we all get to the table for our RPG, all the characters have met each other because you got backstories and everything. And well, they fought this giant Hydra who terrorized this city, and now you, as the storyteller or the game master or dungeon manager, that's where you start. So it solidifies the group a little bit more. I love this game. This is such a great concept. It's so tight. It's so clean.
Yeah. It's super smooth. That kind of
right.
Which dice to grab out of the draft.
Exactly.
Trying to balance it. It's a lovely game. Really nice game.
So that is Role Player. That is my number 2.
Right. So similarly, my number 3 is Dice Hospital, which is also a dice drafting game. So this game, I don't know what year it was. It's a good question. It was 2018, Kickstarter, I think, originally. If you've got the Kickstarter version, you've got lots of plastic ambulances and items, but the core game, I think, is cardboard. Basically, you're running a hospital, not surprisingly, named as Dice Hospital. You've got to basically, the first bit is drafting the ambulances and bringing those patients into your hospital. So if you take a more complex patient full of, so the dice represents how injured they are. So like a 1 is close to death. 6 is basically healed. So if you take an ambulance full of more injured people, it's obviously harder to do, but you'll get to go first and draft some of the rooms you upgrade, or some of the specialists can help you. Or if you take an easier one, you go further round and around. That's the first decision you have to make. Once you've got your ambulance and your patients, you then can look at improvements, or which could be different ways to activate the different colored dice. There's 3 colored dice in the game. Or you can take a specialist who might focus on green dice or red dice or yellow dice. Then it's kind of everyone for themselves, as you start with like 3 standard nurses, and then you've got your specialists, and you allocate them to rooms, and that lets you manipulate the dice from like a 5 to a 6, or heal all the 1s to 2. Or the specialist might be, if you heal a green, another green can heal. So you're trying to optimize the allocation of your doctors and nurses around the hospital. And any 6s that turn to a 7 go into they get discharged. So, and then of course, the more you heal and discharge them, the more points you get in that round. And you play the game over, I'm going to say about 8 rounds. It's super tight. The dice are after trying to keep everyone from not dying. Otherwise, they do go to the morgue. That's negative points. We really, really enjoy it. And then now there is a Kickstarter, expansions of like a maternity, which we've got with pink dice. There's some improvements, and there's even like a part where you're actually laying out city tiles for the ambulances and paramedic tokens to collect patients, but I've not tried those. But if you're after a dice drafting game that is kind of that theme hospital game of the past where you're trying to get the right rooms to hire the right people, I would also highly recommend Dice Hospital.
There's
I love the artwork.
There's an expansion for like an emergency room, right? Something like that.
Yeah. It's got extra rooms. Say that there's a big one about maternity and maternity ward. But
Okay.
we always end up playing the base game. It's just really straightforward. Again, quick to the table, easy to teach. Because everyone kind of knows how hospitals run in general, it's quite a nice gateway game as well for our gaming group. Have you played?
Cool. No, I haven't. It's been on my list for a while because, I mean, you got the little plastic ambulance that you put dice in, and I'm like, man, that looks cool. We need to.
Yeah, it's like deluxe upgrades. Yeah. Otherwise, the game comes with just a card which you put 3 dice onto.
Okay.
Those need painting. That's a reminder. I need to paint those ambulances because mine are grey.
You do.
I think in the Kickstarter, there's in an expansion recently, there's a helicopter, so you can helicopter people in.
What?
Yeah, it's massive helicopter. So 1 to 4 players. It's like 2.3, cool. So not very complicated.
So here's a question: are you competing hospitals, or are you a special role within this hospital?
No, you've got your hospital, and so we've got the same. I'm going to say about 8 or 9 rooms to start with. And then you can buy additional rooms that they're hexagonal tiles you basically put around the edge. So it's that bit of going first and having the worst patients, but getting the first dibs on the rooms, or taking the easier route, but ending up with maybe not so optimal.
Right.
It's lovely. That's the bit is the key. And then the stress of everyone deteriorate. Because if they don't get seen by anybody in the rounds, they deteriorate. So if they're not looked after, then they get worse, which again is a really nice theme at the end.
So if there's a die that has like 5 pips showing and you didn't tend to them, they'll
go to a 4. Yeah. And ones drop to 0.
So there's timing, so it's like a timing.
Yeah. You're trying to do as much as possible, just keep people generally getting better, knowing that, hopefully no one dies on my shift.
Hopefully not.
There is Dice Hospital. So, number 3 from you.
Number 3 is the dark horse of the dice game episode, and that is Tabula.
I have no idea. I'm now Googling what Tabula is. Tell me more.
Is. Okay, and you can find it on Board Game Geek. It was published in 1990.
Wow.
Boom, I went back far. It was designed by Sarah Finch and Leslie Scott. This is a 2-player game. So, and the reason I got it, actually, it's very interesting. A friend of mine picked it up for me while he was in London on vacation, and he brought it back to me. It's based on this ancient Roman game that's the precursor to what is today backgammon.
Okay.
Right? So it's, at its simplest, it is a roll and move. That it's very simple. You have, I can't remember if it's 16 or 18, but each player has a number of these beautiful stones, and you're trying to get them onto this board and then all the way around the board once. So there's 4 sides, 6, so there's 24 spaces total. You roll 2 dice and you move your stones. Now you can't move your stones off the board until you've gotten all of your stones onto the board. And you have opportunities to bump your opponent's stones back to the center, which means, so if they're scoring and you're getting behind, you have a chance to knock them out. If they leave if it's a single stone on a space, you can then occupy that space after your dice roll, land on that space, and bump them. But if they have 2 or more, then that space is protected. Really simple, but deep strategy. It's rumored that the Emperor Claudius, the third emperor of Rome, the fourth emperor of Rome, he had a version of this game mounted onto his chariot or his litter when you go through Rome. Yeah, so this is a really old game, very cool. It's a lot of fun. Katie and I played this yesterday, again, in anticipation. It was like, man, it was tense for a while, but then she totally blew me away because that's typically what happens. But that is Tabula.
You're going so it's like backgammon, but you're going the same way around the board. I'm just looking at the picture. Way. I like the artwork, the kind of the Roman mosaic structure.
Yep.
Just classic, those glass beads as components.
Yeah, there's not a lot to it.
No.
It's unassuming. Again, it's just a modern take on an ancient classic. I like it more than backgammon.
I haven't played backgammon in years. Is it still in print or is it?
Oh yeah, still in print. You can still get it. To be honest, I think. So like, just go to London, go to the British Museum. They have them in their gift shop.
Kind of yeah.
Yep.
I see that one of the designers, she created Jenga.
Yes. There
you go. That's a claim to fame.
So again, that's Tabula.
I
think it's called Tabula, the Roman game, I believe.
Yeah, that's what the box said.
On the box. Roman game. Yep. So
I'd like to like that. Looks like a nice 2-player game. So there we are. There's the dice games covered. So we've covered Rolling Realms, we have covered Sagrada, we've covered Space, Role Player, Dice Hospital, and Tabula.
And because today is Mardi Gras, and because Louisiana is all about another French term called lagniappe. Yeah.
Explain.
So lagniappe's a little something extra is how it translates.
Okay.
Right? A little something extra. So if you go somewheres, they might give you some free thing, right?
Okay.
And so this is a little something extra in honor of Mardi Gras. And I want to talk about real quick, and that's Big Easy busking. In honor of New Orleans, the city that I love. This game has no dice. But again, remember, this is lagniappe. Was published in 2020 by Joshua Mills and Weird Giraffe Games. I absolutely love this game. It is so thematic. It's really reminiscent of being in New Orleans. It's really reminiscent of being in New Orleans at Mardi Gras, but it's set at any time. So you're a trio of buskers, street music performers in the French Quarter. And you've got this one card in front of you, and you have these cubes that represent the energy that each of those musicians have.
Yeah.
And then you will play cards, which are songs, and you play them, and you have locations in the French Quarter in front of you that give you money. Money equals victory points at the end of the game. It gives you an opportunity. You can tip your musicians in case they're running low on energy because you have a reserve of energy cubes and you can add it. But it's got the classic purple, green, and gold, the tricolors of Mardi Gras.
I've got to say, the artwork is amazing. Yeah. It's so bright. I've never heard this game.
Yeah.
Just looking at the images now, I'm like, this game needs to be played.
No, it's great. It's okay at 2. It's better at a higher player count. Just because you want more competition, right?
Yeah, I can
basically, see. At 2 players, it's like, well, I'm going to play this card here. What's cool is each location has an icon, and the subsequent song cards have the same icon. So you have like a little in the corners, like a Mardi Gras bead, or there's a heart, or there's the fleur de lis, and there's a mask, like a Mardi Gras mask. So the location has that icon. If the song you play has a matching icon, you'll get an extra bonus, right? So it's really cool because it's like, yeah, my trumpeter did an awesome job playing this song, and it's so fun. And it's got the balconies, the artwork on the cards. It's amazing, and it's like being in New Orleans at Mardi Gras. So that's a little lanyard for y'all, and happy Mardi Gras to everybody.
Yeah, happy Mardi Gras. Thank you for sharing that. I quite like that little sneaky bonus at the end. So that might have to become a regular feature.
Yeah, maybe we can do that. We could probably
PJ's super bonus.
We just call that a little lanyard.
Extra life. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. And with that, thank you everyone for listening. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow us so you don't miss a future episodes. And we'll speak to you soon.
Gareth, thanks again. This is great. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Please subscribe. And as always, we love to hear your thoughts and ideas. So make sure to leave those in the comments. And don't forget, you can also chat with us both on Instagram at Meeple to Meeple.